Whoa. Almost lost my pen. Illini Basketball Podcast, episode 234, December 8th, 2024. It's a Sunday, as some people in the Midwest would pronounce it for some reason.
Only you.
That is false. There's absolutely like maybe 20% of people over the age, 40% of people over the age of like 60 from around here say Sunday.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Just saying. Illinois did lose on Friday night. That was, they did lose that game. This is the worst podcast. Or the one that was like, oh, we got to talk about them losing. But you establish consistency. So this is like the third Northwestern loss in the last the entire podcast. Second, third.
Every time they go there, the last three times, right? They've lost the last three trips there. I think I could be wrong. Somebody correct me if I am.
So if we run the numbers on that,
go ahead and run those numbers.
So I guess it's since the January 7th, 2021, day after January 6th, they beat them 81-56 at Northwestern. Remember that game?
Goody's going to be so mad that you even said something like that.
So it was 43-28 Northwestern at the half. And this is an Illinois team. Okay, they're 8-3 coming in. Io, Kofi, this is the big year. And then they outscored them 53-13 in the second half. Yeah. So I don't think they've beat them since then. If what you're saying is correct,
that sounds right. I don't know.
No, wrong, false. Remember DeMonte's dunk? That was the season after.
Okay.
So it's 2 in a row at Northwestern that they've lost.
2 in a row. Okay.
It could be 3.
Both in overtime. They lost in overtime last year, right?
Yeah, it's 2 in a row. No, it's 3 in a row. It's 3 in a row. Okay, it's 3 in a row.
I'm a genius, obviously. I wish I would have went with my gut before this season on this. I would have predicted this right, but they got me. The Arkansas game made me change my ways, and here we are. So we'll go player of the game. I think that there was one guy on Illinois' team that was head and shoulders above everybody else, and that would be Kasparas Yakichonis. Did I say that right? It sounded right.
Nice.
39 minutes for him, 7-16, 6 of 10 from 3, 3 for 4 from the line, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. He did have 4 turnovers. I believe 3 of them were pretty early in the game. But he once again showed up, hit big threes when Illinois needed them, when nobody else was really doing much. I don't know if I love the pull-up 3 at the end of the game. I mean, I think you try to get something open, but do you trust Hummerhouse to take another one? I don't really know if that's the answer either. So I don't hate it. I just think that Brad had some coaching malfunctions in this game. So I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But this game kind of reminded me a lot of that Loyola game where they were trying to screen at half court. Northwestern was high hedging on them, so they couldn't get the ball down low. They kind of switched their defense in the second half where they brought, whoever was guarding the guy in the corner over to guard Tomislav when he was rolling. Tommy probably should have put a couple of those up instead of passing them out. I think that I would like to see that more. But, again, KJ was amazing and need some other guys to step up, especially in games like this on the road, especially guys like Ben Hummerhouse.
I wasn't sure if Bleacher Report knew ball in the college ball, since this draft is going to feature a lot of college guys. I'm impressed that they moved Kasparas up to the 6th overall pick in their latest mock, which is the right call. I mean, he's elite, and he was elite in this game. We'll get to Hummerhouse. I think he's kind of become a punching bag, which that's fine, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Kasparas makes most of the big shots, and a lot of people are like, oh, he's got to clean up the turnovers. He didn't have a turnover in the second half in overtime, right?
I don't think he did.
He only had 4
turnovers were early. Yeah.
Which that's fine. Freshman on the road, tough environment. If Northwestern's they're scrappy. I mean, they really have 2 guys that can kill you on offense. I think that's going to be that that way for the season. Leach obviously made some shots in this game, but I really think it's Barnhizer and Martinelli. And I still don't think Northwestern is that good. We'll talk about that later. But like maybe people, you're just salty, but I don't look at that team. I'm like, man, that team, yeah, they're
Yeah.
good. I think they are going to get obliterated on the road this year. At Penn State on January 2nd, at Purdue on January 5th, at Michigan on January 19th. I think they lose at Illinois on the 26th. I think they lose every road game in the Big Ten, which a lot of teams are going to lose road games in the Big Ten. But I think Northwestern loses every road game in the Big Ten in January. And February, probably not, because they go to Washington in February. So that should be a free win, but and in Minnesota. But Kaspar's well-deserved to player of the game. We should probably go back on the docs and kind of catch up the player of the game totals for the year.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's probably leading the way, and then Ivisic is probably
gotta be. Yeah.
The Will Riley is probably third. But Kasparis is pretty clearly the best player on this team. And, it's not
and he's not afraid to shoot it. The 1-3 that he took over Nicholson that would almost hit the rafters was pretty insane. So yeah, he's definitely head and shoulders the best guard on the team right now. I mean, Tomislav has been really good. So Tommy says Big Hummer, a no-show. Will Riley taking circus shots, need a stronger inside presence. I want to talk about Ben Humrickhouse. He is getting a lot of heat right now for not playing defense. This team gave up 58 points in regulation. It's not like their defense was bad in this game. Their offense struggled. You need guys like Will Riley to be a little bit more careful with the ball, to take better shots rather than creating. You need Ben Humrickhouse to knock down some threes. And I understand that people are mad, but sometimes you don't have it. Brad made a comment that said there's no way that I'm not going to have my best shooter stop shooting. And you could tell that Brad was continuing to run plays to get Humrickhouse open. If one of those drops, if Jake Davis makes a wide open layup, if Tomislav makes both ends of the 1-and-1, Illinois wins this game. So I don't think that this is all on Humrickhouse. And I went back through and looked at his defense, because that seems to be the big key to people being mad at him. And I think that they're more mad about his defense because he did go 1 of 9 from 3. He had 3 points, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks. One of those blocks was huge, by the way. Probably could have lost the game in regulation if he doesn't make that block. So here's what I broke down, what I saw. First basket that he gave up was Leach hitting a fadeaway 8-footer. Humrickhouse had his hand up the whole time. Northwestern gets some 4 points there. Barnhizer then hits a jumper over Merez. There was a lot of talk that Merez needed more time because of his defense. There's also a lot of talk that Ty Rogers, not redshirting, lost this, or if he would have not redshirted, Illinois would have won this game because of his defense. It's not Brad's style right now. And you guys are going to have to realize that. Brad is playing 5 out shooters on the court. And if you don't like it, you're not going to like the season, probably. Humrickhouse was then guarding Mullins a lot. Let Mullins shoot some open 3-pointers. He did make one of those. There was one time where Mullins got the ball on the sideline. Humrickhouse, of course, was down low, hanging off of him, and Boswell leaves Barnhizer wide open to go guard Mullins outside the 3-point line. Humrickhouse was the only one that came up and tried to defend that. I mean, he couldn't get to him in time, but that wasn't on him. Barnhizer then hits a fadeaway jumper over Humrickhouse. Humrickhouse again has his hand up. I don't know how else you defend that. It was a tough 18-footer. Barnhizer seems to make those sometimes. He did it to force overtime. That's where you're at there. There was one where Humrickhouse was the only guy to hustle back. I think it was right at the end of the first half. Leach was coming down. Kasparis was walking, by the way. Humrickhouse was the only one that came back. He basically got picked by Tommy trying to go up for the block. So I don't put that on him either. First play of the second half, Martinelli puts a body into Humrickhouse, makes a tough 5-footer. Northwestern's at 26 points at that point. the most egregious play I saw from him was when he tried to go under when Martinelli was out front and Martinelli hit that big three. That was kind of the one where I was like, okay, I understand. People can be mad about that. He also got lost on a back screen where Merez probably should have helped, but Merez didn't know that somebody was back there. Martinelli did have one easy drive with a layup when Northwestern got to 40 points. And then KJ started guarding Martinelli. I don't know if people didn't realize that, if they didn't care because KJ scored 20 points and he was hitting shots. But Martinelli scored 5 or 6 on him and over on KJ in overtime. That wasn't on Hummerkaus. Barnheiser hit a 14-foot fadeaway, hand in his face. Don't know how else you guard that. Boswell misses the layup. That was probably the biggest missed layup of the game when Illinois was up 3, I believe. Hummerkaus was guarding the ball. KJ and Tommy don't guard an easy cutter or a cutter coming down on the breakaway. Those two lacked in defense in that point. Again, KJ was on Barnheiser when he made the 15-footer to tie it. That wasn't on Hummer. Martinelli then took it to the basket, made one of those shots that Martinelli seems to make. And then the other one, Hummerkaus was on, forced him baseline. Tommy should have came over. Martinelli puts a shoulder into Hummerkaus to move him out. Tommy doesn't get his hands up. Another one, not on Hummerkaus. I don't know what you guys want him to do on defense, but he has his hands up all the time. He's smart enough. He has good enough IQ to know where guys are, who he's guarding, his assignments. I don't think he's a bad defender. And I think that it's asinine that people are trying to push this because he shot the ball bad. I mean, the Merez Tommy, like that worked for a while. I don't know why Brad went away from it. But Brad is going to get Hummerkaus shots, and you guys are going to have to live with it regardless of how you think he plays defense. So anyways, that was my rant. That's what I had. Please stop the Hummerkaus slander out there, folks.
Yeah, I think there's always a player on the team who's going to be the punching bag at some point or another after a loss. I thought Trey White was that after Alabama, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think it was Hummer. I mean, look, he was 1 for 9 from 3. He's still shooting 37 on the season. Like I tweeted the Bleacher Report mock draft that had him getting drafted 58th or whatever. People was like, I don't understand it. Okay. Did anybody listen to any of the stats that we went over before the season? Like he was an NBA draft prospect coming into the season. So he's holding on to that now. He can shoot. He's 6'9". Defensively, I think there could be a closeout issue with him, depending on who he's guarding with guys shooting threes. I mean, that was kind of one of the problems against Alabama.
Yeah.
But it wasn't part of the plan. Like they wanted Nelson to shoot the threes at Alabama. So
right. And the Mullins one, I mean, could he have closed out better on the one he made? I guess. But Brad clearly wasn't guarding the guy. That he wanted Hummerkaus down low, to force Mullins to shoot threes. And I think Mullins made 1 of 5 or something like that. Yeah, 1 of 5. So Brad's going to take that.
I do think that you should play Merez and Ivisic down the stretch more. Merez only had 11 minutes in this game. You're not looking – Hummerkaus doesn't need to be out there to shoot threes in a game where Casper's is basically your offense down the stretch.
Yeah, and I don't know if Brad was trying to look for that dagger 3. Like, that's what Illinois did against Arkansas. When Arkansas was getting back, when they got it within 8, Illinois always had an answer. This game, they did not have an answer. You can't go on, a 4-minute drought when you're up 10 with 8 minutes left or whatever it is. And that's what, I mean, Brad made a comment towards like, we couldn't score. So I had Ben in there to score. Ben wasn't scoring. Okay. So again, I think that some of this is on Brad. It seems like that's what the chat also seems to think. Jay says still like Underwood, yet his in-game adjustments throughout some big games throughout his time here has been less than desirable. Hinkle, what's going on? He says this is squarely on Brad Underwood. Has a history of blowing double-digit leads late. Penn State. Ben didn't have it. Have to play Merez.
He also has a history of holding on to double-digit leads late.
He also has a history of just like saying like it's this guy's turn to put a bucket up. The timeout into Will Riley coming in and Will Riley just taking that off balance terrible three was terrible. I don't know if that's what Brad called. I don't know if he called, we're getting the ball to Will and Will, you take whatever shot you want. I think that needs to be reined in a little bit. I know that Brad thinks he's amazing and all that, but Will, when he's handling the ball, it just doesn't look natural to me. I know it's probably because he's long and he can handle it. I feel like he's going to get called for a carry sometime this year, though. The way he does that kind of hesitation, and then he's got such a big gape in his stride. I think is that the right word? I don't know if that's the right word. Anyways, Tomislav. Let's talk about Tomislav. 38 minutes for him, 5 of 11, 2 of 5 from 3, 3 for 4 from the line. Again, he missed that late game bonus 1-1. He made the front end, missed the second end. 15 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block. Maybe the best passes into assists I've seen in a long time. The curl around bounce pass from Kasparis to Tommy to a cutting Will Riley behind the back to him was pretty sweet. For a big guy, it's amazing how well he knows his angles. The bounce pass to Merez underneath was impressive to me. He did have kind of a wonky pass to Merez that Merez got back and put in for 2. I think Merez had 6 points in a row in this game. And then I think he went to the bench never to be seen again. So that's Brad Underwood. Boswell, you got anything on Tommy?
His stat lines always look good.
Yeah. He plays well. I mean, between him and Kasparis, if we can get another guy to step up and make some shots or do something, Illinois is going to be looking good. And like I said, that Arkansas game where they shot lights out is the pinnacle. That's what Brad wants every game. This game got a little. I don't think this game's on the refs. I think that the refs are like, okay, this is Big Ten conference play. We're letting these boys bang. Tomislav couldn't get into picking situations because the bigs were body checking him all the way up to try to set a screen. They called it twice, but I think it happened pretty much the whole game. Whistle didn't get blown for like 7 minutes of this game to start, with as physical as it was kind of crazy. But the boys got to learn that's Big Ten basketball. You got to deal with it and play through it. So Boswell,
is it possible for them to win a game when Will Riley, Boswell, and Humrickhouse go 1 for 18 from 3?
No,
because they didn't make enough threes. 9 for 34. You got to make more.
You can't shoot under 30% with a team that's trying to shoot it 30 to 40 times.
Yeah,
you can't. You're going to struggle to win games. You're going to struggle to score the ball. That's, again, they only scored 58 in regulation, only scored 66 in the game. So,
also, I don't know if this is always Big Ten basketball officiating, because I feel like there's a lot of Big Ten games where they're not. I think they just do it because there's like I don't know if it's a reputation thing or Northwestern. It's total bullshit the way they officiated this game.
Yeah, and I think going from the Arkansas game that was, the freedom of movement was a lot better in that game. You take 8 days off and then you go to Northwestern and it's completely different. I think that's going to throw you off some. So again, this is a game Illinois should have won. Regardless, they should have won this game. Guys got to step up and do things. Boswell, 41 minutes, 3 of 11, 0 for 3 from 3, 6 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. He was getting to the hoop pretty well early on. Like I said, he missed that layup that I think Illinois was up 3 at the time. That was a big one that you just got to make that. And I hated the back-to-back threes from him. It reminded me so much of Caleb Love at Arizona. Like, he missed one, ball bounced around, he got it back somehow, and then he kind of took like a step back three for some reason. I wasn't a fan of that, but I guess if one of them goes in, you don't complain about it. I'm complaining because neither of them went in. Boswell's got to be better on the offensive end. It's got to be. So
it's fair to say.
Trey White, 2 for 3. He had the first point of the game. He was just wide open, standing underneath the hoop. 0 for 1 from 3, 4 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Trey played 15 minutes. I think that he did
a nice little mid-range jumper early.
He did, yeah.
Very nice, very nice.
Brad seemed to trust. I was kind of surprised that he was in towards the end of the game. I know that I think that's when Will Riley came in and forced that 3 is when Trey finally went to the bench late in the game. I was surprised in the trust that Brad put in him, because that hasn't seemed to been the lineup down the stretch lately. So, it like the lineup's mainly been Will Riley in there. Will played 30 minutes. He was 4 of 12. He was 0 for 6 from 3. Nobody's talking about that. 4 for 6 from the line, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. I thought that he was attacking the rim on rebounding really well, and then I look at the stat sheet and he only had 3 rebounds. So Brad was very pissed off about the offensive rebound numbers in this game. They only had 7. He kind of said that he during the last few days of practice or whatever, I mean 8 days of practice in a row or whatever it was, he wasn't as hard on them, so he did put the blame on him there. Those guys not getting rebounds, that's something that they've been really good at. Couldn't find them, this game. So I don't know. You all right with Will Riley just shooting whatever he wants still?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the I don't know what the alternative is if he's going to play 30 minutes.
Yeah. I don't know. Move the ball, get open shots.
It looks really ugly when it's not good.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
42% from 3 now. He was 50%. Loser.
Merez, we've talked about him a little bit. Played 12 minutes. He was 3 for 4, missed his only free throw. 6 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. I don't disagree with the guys that saying that he should probably get more run. I think he can even get run when Tommy's not in the game. I think that he has that ability. Had a nice post up move against Nicholson, who's much bigger than him. So I think Merez has been great. I don't have any complaints about him. Get him on the floor a little bit more. DGL played 9 minutes. He had 3 fouls.
Good game.
I mean, it seems like DGL of last year at this point, right? He's not doing much offensively. He's coming in to disrupt defensively. I did like that he went after that ball. I am questioning in his mind how he thinks laying on somebody's back isn't a foul, but I do like the defensive intensity from him. Carl says Will Riley 43% from 3 on the season. Kylan Boswell 21% from 3 on the season.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see Boswell get to the basket more. He has the ability. I know that he's not big enough to finish all the time, but he has the quickness. So I'd like to see that more out of him. Jake Davis played 2 minutes in this game for some reason. He was 0 for 1. He missed a wide open layup. He got absolutely schooled by Martinelli when they tried to put Jake Davis on him. He had an assist though.
So the DGL thing real quick.
Yeah.
He played better in this game than he did last year against Northwestern.
I mean,
In
I
Evanston.
don't know how you complain about it. He didn't get a rebound. He didn't miss a shot. He played 9 minutes.
Well, my point was that he played like 40 seconds last time.
Yeah.
He got some more minutes this time. 9 minutes. Very nice. I don't know why Jake Davis is playing. I mean, that was an easy layup. Jake Davis should not take any shots unless it's a 3.
Yeah.
And the layup was wide open, so I don't understand how he missed that.
I don't, because he played for Mercer last year.
Well, it's a shot at the SoCon. It's a quality conference.
Other notes and quotes. Again, Illinois only had 11 turnovers. I'm going to say it's only. I thought that was good. The problem is they only forced 4. They had 19 assists on 25 made baskets. And again, only 7 offensive rebounds. I don't really have any other quotes from Brad. He said that Northwestern's really good and that people need to realize that. So stop down talking them. But it's kind of about all he had. So
I was told that what was I going to do? I was going to lecture people on what?
How this is a learning experience and it's okay to lose this game, I think is what he said. Can we start calling Merez Mo? Sure, David.
I think it's Moriz, by the way, isn't it?
It's Moriz.
Moriz Johnson.
Moriz, but it's Merez. Come on.
Moriz.
They say Moriz. Every announcer calls it Moriz, and I think it's weird. Quackle says, I think what's more concerning is that there was no plan towards the end of the game, no flow, panic turnovers, a bunch of forced shots. Wouldn't have been close if it weren't for KJ's crazy thoughts. Yeah, and I think that can be a problem. Brad doesn't have, something to go to. He's never been a big set play guy anyways. He's 5 out, move the ball. And they kind of stopped moving the ball. It was kind of, KJ try to get yours, Will Riley come in, try to get yours. Hopefully it cleans it up because they don't have an easy game coming up. Next 2 games aren't easy. Next 3 games, because Missouri's after that, right? And Missouri just knocked off Kansas. So schedule doesn't get any easier.
Well, I think I don't find this to be a loss that I approve of.
Okay.
You don't lose this game, especially 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Like, this is a nerd college of a bunch of losers who shouldn't have any chance. And how is Martinelli such a bad free throw shooter? How is that possible?
He jumps.
Yeah, what a fucking
How are you a college basketball player and you're jumping on your free throws?
I don't understand how he's good, but he is good. So I don't, whatever.
He finds a way to get the basket to go, or the ball to go in the basket. So
yeah, and it's just like you can't lose to this team.
Yeah, especially when you're up 10 in the second half. When it got to a 5-point game, like, I just had a feeling Illinois was going to blow it. Just felt that way. And they did. You got to make shots when they matter.
Yeah, so now you're 6-2. You're 0-1 in the Big Ten. Last year they started 2-0 in the Big Ten. They won these early games, one of which was Northwestern, but that was in Champaign early January, beat them by 30 without Shannon. So hopefully you get them back next time, which will be January 26th.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of people say that, like, the biggest thing is, you had Io who could get to the lane and get fouled or get a bucket. You had TSJ that could also do that. Illinois doesn't have that this year. So it's a lot more shooting threes, finding open looks, dumping the ball off when you get to the lane, because we don't have a strong player that can get to the rim with ease.
Yeah, I would have thought that like Boswell could be a finisher around the rim. He has been in certain games, but wasn't in this game. And then Trey White, I thought maybe could at least get there. I don't know if he would score, but
yeah.
Will Riley, I wish could get there, but
haven't seen a lot of attacking basketball from Trey White. So, and that's what he seemed to do a lot at Louisville. I know you didn't love it when he was doing it at Louisville, but Carl says, yeah, wide open threes. When opponents refuse to guard, these poor shooters are okay, but otherwise fewer threes from these poor shooters. Also, we didn't push the ball to get open shots in transition.
I mean, there was nobody on the team who took too many threes. I mean, maybe Boswell, but other than that, I mean, Kasparis took 10, but he made 6 of them. Tomislav took 5, made 2 of them. Hummerkaus, he was shooting over 40%. So if he's going to take 9, I mean, at some point you get to 7 threes and you can't make any of them. Although I bet he probably made his 6th or 7th attempt, right? I thought the one that he made was pretty late.
Yeah, Hummerkaus's, yeah.
Yeah, and Will Riley shooting 6, that's fine. They took a proper amount of threes, they just didn't make enough. Took 34. I'm good with that.
Carl says Martinelli is goofy, but he killed us. Merez deserved a shot at defending him. I don't think the defense on him was that bad, though. I don't think Ty Rodgers is making better defensive plays. I don't think Merez. The problem with Merez is just like with Ty Rodgers, you clog up the paint putting those guys in because whoever's guarding them in Brad's 5-out offense is packing the paint, just like Illinois did with Mullins. So I don't know. David says, when we are up 6 late in the game, who do you put out on the floor to close it out?
Kasparis and Ivisic and play 2-on-5. Yeah. Kasparis, Ivisic, Boswell, Morez, and Trey White, obviously.
Put the starters back out there.
Yeah, go with the starters and then swap Hummerkaus for Morez.
For Morez, okay. Yeah. I think I would go starters, swap out Trey White for Morez. Because as of right now, Trey White's not a threat from 3 either. So,
yeah, I don't know if you're afraid of guarding the perimeter either, because Northwestern 4 for 21 from 3 in this game. So if you have 6'9" Hummerkaus, 6'9" Morez, 7'1" Ivisic, you're kind of specifically trying to guard one thing. So yeah, I probably think that would make sense. Plus, I mean, on the other end, I would rather have Hummerkaus's offense over Trey White's.
Yeah,
I guess. I mean, that might be something where people are like, whoa, Hummerkaus shot 1 for 9 from 3. You know what? Hummerkaus is going to go 5 for 7 from 3 on Tuesday. He's going to start 0 for 2, but oh, here we go.
Yeah,
and he's going to make 5 in a row. Lock it in.
I talked about this earlier. I agree with Carl. Tomislav, instead of looking to kick all the time, needs to start putting some of those shots up. There were probably 4 times that he got it deep in the paint with a small guy on him. I believe he passed it out to Hummerkaus twice, and he only took 1 of those shots. He's got to be willing. He's got to know the matchup that's on him more consistently, I think, to be able to know that he needs to put that ball up rather than pass it out. So
I suppose that's fair.
Anyways, on to Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin. Tuesday night, folks. Tuesday night. Big night. Huge night.
Huge nights.
What? Yeah, it's a Peacock game.
Ugh.
8 o'clock on Peacock. Second one of the year for the Illini, I believe. Wisconsin's lost 2 in a row. They lost to Michigan to open up the Big Ten season. That was in Madison. They lost by 3, and they lost by 14 yesterday at Marquette. Game that I believe Wisconsin led at the half, and then things didn't go their way in the second. Neither team is going to be ranked where they currently are by tomorrow. Wisconsin's 13th. They've lost 2 in a row. I'm guessing they're going to drop towards where Illinois is, and then Illinois will probably drop.
Get them out of there
near the edge, maybe 24, 25, or out.
Yeah,
I had to guess. Also, Michigan is going to jump in, I think, with the Big Ten. in terms of Big Ten teams jumping in and out. I think Michigan will be ranked as they should be come tomorrow. Wisconsin's lineup yesterday featured Max Klesmit, who I guess is playing the point for them this season. I guess. I mean, he's listed as that on KenPom. It seems like he's their one. He had 22 points, 6 for 11 from 3 against Marquette yesterday. We're familiar with him. Blackwell, sophomore, played a decent amount of minutes last year, but is playing a lot more this year at the 2. He has scored some points this year. He had 30 against UT Rio Grande Valley, of course, a legitimate squad there, totally. That's the team they beat by 3, by the way, yikes. He had 16 against Michigan, 17 against Marquette. He is shooting 33% from downtown, shot 45% last year. They got John Tanji, of course, former Illini target in the portal in 2023 when he came out of Colorado State, then went to Missouri, got hurt, played 8 games for Missouri last year. Now he's played 10 games for Wisconsin. He's shooting 41% from 3, 93% from the free throw line. He's taking 87 free throws. Be prepared for this loser to the free throw line far too many times. He went 22 free throw attempts against Arizona, 10 against Pitt, 10 against Chicago State, 6 against Michigan, 8 against Marquette. He had 14 points on 3 of 11 shooting yesterday, 5 turnovers. He'll turn the ball over. They got to have a good plan for him. Hopefully, I'd like to see Kylan Boswell get the Tanji assignment. Tanji's only 6'5". He's only got a couple inches of height on Boswell, a little bit of weight. I think Boswell can handle him. I'd like to see Boswell on Tanji. I'd like to see Kasparis guarding their white guy, a.k.a. Klesmit, and then just throw Trey White on Blackwell, and you're good there. And then Nolan Winter starts at the 4, 21 minutes, 7 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists yesterday, 6'11", 235 sophomore. Played 23% of minutes last season, up to 51.5% this season, 75% from 2. He's 30 for 40, 78% free throw shooter. His best game this season, he had 15, 4, and 2 against Holy Cross to open up the season. And then Stephen Crowell still there, year 5 for this bum. Playing fewer minutes this year, though, I will say. So far, playing fewer minutes. He's got 4 points in the last 2 games from 3 this season. For some reason, they think he can shoot because he shot 44% last year, which seems like a fluke, but he's 2 for 11 from 3. And then off the bench, they really got 2 guys that have played in the last couple games of importance, I suppose, and that's Kamari McGee and Carter Gilmore. McGee, of course, the transfer from Green Bay, originally played 1 year at Green Bay. A decent backup guard off the bench, shooting over 50% from 3 this year, 55%, but it's 11 for 20. And then Gilmore played 20 minutes yesterday, year 5 for him at Wisconsin. I don't know why he stuck around for so long because, he played a ton of minutes a couple years ago, and then just I don't understand why he didn't transfer. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't, but he's taken 18 shots and made 8 of them this season. So that's Wisconsin's personnel. I don't think they're that good of a basketball team, I have to say. And maybe people are like, oh, you're disrespecting an opponent. I'm not playing in the game, so nice try.
Yeah, I agree. I think this Wisconsin team is not as good as the season started off for them. I think that Illinois, on paper, is a better team. Just got to shut down a couple guys, and it'll be all right. Get to play at home, first Big Ten game at home. I think that'll be good for the boys.
Yeah. Last season, they beat Wisconsin twice. They played them in Madison in March. They beat them by 8. They beat them in the Big Ten championship game by 6. Of course, that team featured A.J. Storr, Chucky Hepburn, those guys both moving on, one to the ACC, one to the Big 12. And then a couple years ago, they beat them by 10 at the State Farm Center. They beat them by 10 in Madison. Underwood has pretty much owned Greg Gard in a lot of ways. Greg Gard's the top 5 coach in the Big Ten for Underwood owning them. He's up there because they beat him at State Farm Center by 13 a few years ago. They've beaten them in Madison 3 or 4 times in a row, I believe. But that game in Madison won't be until February 18th. And it'll be a Tuesday night matchup on Fox Sports 1. But this one, of course, at the State Farm Center. In terms of the KenPom numbers to kind of look at, Wisconsin's the number 1 free throw shooting team in the country. Illinois has got a major advantage in the fact that they guard the 3 and the 2 really, really well. And Wisconsin's not. They're a little bit outside the top 100 in both categories. For Illinois on offense, they're 34% from three. Wisconsin 34.7. Wisconsin's 54% from two. Illinois is 56.5. Illinois got to clean up the free throw shooting a little bit. 220th in the country now. 16% difference in free throw shooting percentage between these two teams. So that could be a factor depending on the game is officiated. Average height, Illinois is an overall bigger team. Bench minutes, Illinois uses their bench a little bit more than Wisconsin. And then experience, that's where the edge is huge for Wisconsin. They got a bunch of old guys on this team. But Illinois has got the 18th ranked defense and efficiency on KenPom, Wisconsin 86th. Offense, Wisconsin 19th, Illinois 29th. Illinois has been dropping a little bit the past few days. Like they were 13th on KenPom overall going into the Northwestern game. They dropped to 14th after the game. And with a couple other results coming in, they're now 18th. But Wisconsin's 39th overall on KenPom. They've dropped about 6 or 7 spots in the last 2 games. But like in the Big Ten right now, Illinois is the third best team according to KenPom behind Oregon and Purdue. Oregon keeps jumping up the standings here. Maryland right behind Illinois at 19, Michigan and Michigan State as well. So there are, I believe, 6 Big Ten teams in the top 25 on KenPom right now, with UCLA at 23. So Illinois, Wisconsin, it's gonna be an interesting game. I mean, look, Illinois is a better team, obviously. However, they were the better team going into Friday. So
right, yeah.
The only team where Illinois wasn't the better team going in this season is Alabama. That's it. And Illinois will be the better team going into a lot of games this year. Not the Tennessee game on Saturday, but the Missouri, Chicago State, maybe not the Oregon game, but like the schedule looks a lot harder now with some of these Big Ten teams the way they've been playing. So Illinois got a very hard schedule. I don't care what anybody says. I can't believe their strength of schedule is 240th on KenPom. I guess part of it's because they really like the non-power teams that they schedule are terrible, I guess.
They're really bad. Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, you have Wisconsin 39th, Tennessee 2nd. This is KenPom rankings. Missouri 49th, Oregon 13th, Penn State 33rd, Indiana 44th. Trash. This should be 184th. Michigan State 21st, Maryland 19th, Ohio State 28th, UCLA 23rd, Michigan State 21st, Wisconsin 39th, Duke 3rd, Iowa 46th, Michigan 22nd, Purdue 14th. Like this. The metrics are a fan of the Big Ten. The Big Ten might get 17 bids this year. As a joke. USC and Washington are horrible, and Minnesota.
Brad would get them 17.
I wonder how many they will get. Like right now, I think, as I just sidetrack the preview, we'll get to that in a minute. Players to watch.
Yeah, Illinois is a big favorite on ESPN. I don't know if that means much, but players to watch.
Penn State was the probability favorite on ESPN going into the Big Ten title game last night. That's all you need to know right there.
I'm going with Kylan Boswell for Illinois. Again, he's got to get better offensively. He's one of the best defensive players Illinois has. I'm interested to see who he will be guarding. I don't know if it will be Tonje. I assume it would be. Yeah. That's my assumption. We'll see what happens with that. And then I went with Blackwell for Wisconsin. I think that Blackwell is one of those like glue guys, tough guys that, just finds ways to help his team win, whether it's rebounding, scoring the basketball, making tough plays. So Illinois needs to take care of him. He had 9 rebounds in the loss to Michigan for Wisconsin. So Illinois got to rebound, and they got to stop guys like Blackwell and the other scorers. So I'm not worried about their bigs so much, but their guards are pretty good ball players. Blackwell's averaging 15.2 points per game, 4.7 rebounds per game, and 2 assists per game.
I'm going to go Hummerkaus for Illinois, obviously, naturally. 1 for 9 from 3 against Northwestern. I thought he played too many minutes. I don't think he's a guy who should be playing 38 minutes.
Yeah.
I think there's like 3 guys on this team where I'm like, yeah, they can play 35 plus, and it's the Euros and then Boswell just because like perimeter guard.
But did he play the whole overtime? So he really only played 34.
Doesn't matter.
Does matter. Like it's 5 extra minutes.
Doesn't matter. I don't think he should play over 32 minutes, quite frankly.
Okay. I don't hate that.
It was 39 minutes, so he played 34. far too many. He hasn't even played that this year except for Oakland, and Oakland stinks. So, and he went 2 for 7. The more minutes he plays, the worse he is from 3. Like Arkansas, he played under 30 minutes, 75% from 3. Alabama, he played 30 minutes, 50% from 3. SIU, he played 27 minutes, 5 for 8 from 3. Stats don't lie. Tanji is my pick. Tanji for Wisconsin. He scored a lot of points. We'll see how Illinois game plans for him after they just got torched by Martinelli. So different players, obviously, but just saying, like when the best player in the other team, we're like, hey, this is the guy you got to stop, and then he puts up 27. And guy can't shoot a free throw. I don't even know how he made 3 of the 6 that he shot, but I mean, I don't understand how that's possible. Whatever. Predictions.
Predictions. We're very similar here. I think Illinois is going to win this by 12, at least 12. Again, I don't think this Wisconsin's as good as their record shows. They are coming off 2 losses, so you don't love that, but at least Illinois is at home, also coming off a tough loss. I'm sure practice has been pretty tough on the guys. I had somebody say that Brad Underwood looks a lot more relaxed this year than up screaming at people. I said, well, he doesn't have to deal with Coleman Hawkins. I got Illinois winning this one, 84-72.
What a ricochet that was. I got Illinois 82-72. And on Brad being relaxed, I feel like he is generally pretty relaxed, except for the moments where he knows he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what people think that just because that one viral clip of him getting in their faces at Northwestern like 2 years ago, I think he's always been that way, at least the last like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. Quackle says play Kerry Booth over Jake Davis. I'm still under the assumption that something's not right with Kerry Booth right now. Like, I don't know if it's injury or he's fighting something.
Well, this comment here, he didn't come to Illinois to get more minutes.
Yeah.
And if he did, then who's advising him if he did come to Illinois to get more minutes?
I think he definitely wasn't getting more minutes. He averaged like 29 or 30 at Notre Dame. But I think that the obvious answer is you throw him out there instead of Jake Davis. He's longer. His defense has to be better. It has to be. So I don't know why
he's shooting 25% from 3. Let him get hot.
What's Kerry shooting?
Whatever 4 for 15 is.
Sounds like
26. Oh, he's got him. He's got him.
So, anyways, Illinois hopefully wins this one without any worry or fret. We are going to try to do a watch party. I do have to work, so I might be late. If Ethan wants to go live when the game starts, I will be there hopefully a little bit after. So,
or we don't do it. I mean, look,
or we don't do it at all. And
so what about Saturday? What's the deal there?
Hate us. What is the deal there?
Tennessee.
I don't think I have anything going on.
Are we doing that game?
What time?
I think it's like 4:30.
I don't see it. I mean, unless something changes.
Now that's one where I
double check the schedule with the wife, but
that's one where I could be late if the weather's good and people are trying to. Honestly, I'm not even going to get into the golf thing I was about to say, but like,
are your parents okay if I come over to your house and hang out in your basement?
Very funny.
Weird.
I mean, it's supposed to rain on Saturdays. Maybe that'll help me get out of there before 4:30. But at the latest, I'd probably be home at 4:30.
Follow us on Twitter. We will let you know if we're going live for the Wisconsin game.
And if we don't and they lose, then it's on us that they went 0-2.
That's true. It's true. It's going to be real
for
bad.
For several reasons, But the next 2 games after that should be locks, I would say. Tennessee, Missouri.
Yes.
Whoa. I didn't like that.
My wife's family tried to do Christmas on Bragging Rights Day, and I said, absolutely not. Me and Ethan got to do a watch party. So
now, we don't have to do the whole big thing like we did last time, right? I mean, this is a Sunday game at noon.
At noon, yeah. I don't think we're having a big gathering for that.
Well,
Anyways,
that's the scheduler's fault. And you know what? If we're both available on Sunday the 29th, we'll throw people a bone and we'll do the Chicago State game at 1 o'clock. How about
what
that?
day?
Sunday, December 29th.
There is my wife booked a trip to Chicago January 1st to the 4th. So I will not be here
Does
for
she
the Illinois
know?
Oregon game.
Does she know that the Ducks are playing January 1st in the Rose Bowl?
The Ducks are also playing January 2nd against Illinois.
Yeah, that is weird.
So,
well, the Illini are playing the 31st in their bowl game. The
They are.
Citrus Bowl. Illinois, South Carolina, right?
Yeah.
People thought it was going to be Alabama.
People are upset that it wasn't Alabama. I think Illinois loses by 3 touchdowns either way. So
Illinois has a much better chance of getting torched by Lenora Sellers, the South Carolina quarterback, than they do of Jalen Milroe, who Milroe is probably not going to play in the bowl game. I bet Lenora Sellers does. And this is 2 years in the Bielema era where Illinois is good, and they got to play an SEC team in a bowl game. And they're not going to win.
I think they're 0-5 against SEC teams, if I saw that right. One more thing on basketball. Isaac Trotter did post today, I don't know if you guys saw it, that Illinois is the number 1 defense at forcing non-layup twos. So Brad's doing what he wants to do. Defense.
Thank you to shout out to Maryland Eastern Shore, who took 48 twos in their game against them, and a lot of them were probably not layups. Yeah. And they shot 21% on their 48 twos. So shout out to that for inflating the numbers, but we'll take it. And also shout out to Little Rock. They took 41 of them and shot 24%. But anyway, those two teams probably
really defense.
Numbers. Yeah, and I mean, Arkansas shot 56% against them from 2. So Arkansas kind of ruined the numbers, and then Northwestern kind of did the same thing. So they've been trending downward. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about college basketball. The SEC ACC Challenge ended in a 14-2, 13-2 victory for the SEC.
Yeah,
the 2 wins for the ACC were Duke beating Auburn at Cameron Indoor, Clemson beating Kentucky at home in Clemson, South Carolina. Cincinnati was top 15 in the metrics when I wrote this. I don't think they are. They're still 15th. Okay, yeah, that team's not good. So let's just dismiss them. They lost to Villanova. It was at Villanova, I understand, but Villanova's not good. Like, you can't lose that. So Cincinnati's a classic case of they've beaten absolutely nobody. Their best win is torching a porous Georgia Tech team who, of course, did lose by 3 to North Carolina yesterday, but still fraud is what I would refer to the Cincinnati team as. So they should not be top 15 in the metrics anymore. Wes Miller's a good coach, but that's not a very good team. Kentucky and Gonzaga exchanging blows last night in a matchup during the Big Ten Championship and the ACC Championship football. So I had it on, but I wasn't really paying attention, obviously. But a comeback for Kentucky. They were down big. At one point, it was 50-34 at the half. Kentucky comes back, outscores them by 16 in the second half to force overtime. They beat them 90-89. And I don't know if critical is the right word of the Mark Pope hiring, but it definitely helps. And I also didn't think their roster was built in the way that I would have done it, but that's because they know more than me. But you can definitely tell that Kentucky's actually doing things that, a good coach would have them do on the offensive end. And there's a little bit more creativity to their offense as opposed to what Calipari was doing. So they're number 10 offense in the country. Their only loss this season is, I don't know how they lost. I mean, Clemson's good, but that's a tough one. But Kentucky 8-1 now, and I also think Gonzaga is really good, which I don't know how they lost to West Virginia, but they're 7-2. So a heavyweight fight there. Great timing for it too. I'm sure the ratings were great. I slipped in this Oregon winning the Big Ten Championship in football thing in the middle. I don't know if you checked that one out.
I just saw it. Yeah, that's good for them.
So, shout out.
Maybe the most dominant team in college football this year, and they might have the hardest route to the championship.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain. We just got to win ball games. Games.
All right.
The system is obviously flawed. They probably need to reseed and fix it next year.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a mess.
Penn State is falling over backwards into like super easy spots. Like they fell over backwards into the Big Ten championship because Michigan beat Ohio State, and now they play. Who are they playing? SMU, and then if they win,
SMU
they
and then
play.
Boise State.
Yeah, like what are we doing here? I mean, that's absurd.
Yeah.
But hopefully SMU beats them. But yeah, the Oregon Ducks coming to the Big Ten, just easy, take care of business. And the basketball team looks really good too. So
They do.
shout out to the Ducks. I might have to root for them on January 2nd when they play Illinois in basketball.
Have to change the name of our podcast.
Illinois
Ducks only or something.
No, we would keep it would be Illinois and Oregon. It'd be
Oh, okay.
USC and Washington are the opposite of what Oregon and UCLA in basketball are, at least. They're both horrible. Like Washington is so bad. USC, I don't even understand. Like USC is a classic case of, in the preseason, they were 56th on KenPom, and then they beat Chattanooga, went up to 43rd. And the metrics, they were pretty good going into the season when it comes to the metrics. And they're still 94th right now, but this team is so much worse than 94th to me. They lost to Oregon by 8. Fine. You should lose that game. They lost to a New Mexico team that I think is fine, but not what they were last year. They lost to them by 10. And then the big one is St. Mary's is good. This is not an elite St. Mary's team, though. They're not elite. They lost some guys from last year, including Aiden Mahaney, who is doing nothing at UConn, but whatever. They beat them. They lost to them by 35. And then they lost at home to not a great Cal team by 5. USC stinks. Musselman, year 1, got to figure it out. Got to get this thing turned around. But USC and Washington are both awful. Washington, year 1 with their new head coach and Sprinkle. I mean, Washington lost by 24 to USC. So it's bad.
It's not good.
They're both bad. They're both bad. And Santa Clara is another one where it's this team is so disappointing. But that's not a Big Ten team. So we don't have to go there. Kansas lost to Missouri. Kansas now 7-2, 2 in a row for Kansas this week. They lost by 13 at Creighton. They lost by 9 at Missouri. Missouri's good. I mean, good's a strong word. But Missouri's fine. They'll be harder to beat for Illinois this year than they were last year. They lost to Memphis to start the year by 8, and then they've won 8 in a row since. They got LIU, Jackson. This should be a Missouri team with 10 straight wins going into the game against Illinois on the 22nd. They got some guys. I mean, Mark Mitchell, Duke transfers, having a solid year. Tamar Bates, Indiana transfer. Anthony Robinson, year 2 there. He stayed around. Tony Perkins, some old friends on this team.
Yeah, I think Tamar had 5 steals today.
Yeah, one thing that I worry about if you're Missouri is your team is all failed transfer portal guys. I don't know about failed, but I don't think Tony Perkins was a failure at Iowa, but I think Bates and Mitchell were, they were whatever. But I still don't think Illinois should have any problem beating them. But they're better this year than they were last year. And it's classic Missouri to just play a fucking loser non-conference schedule. What a bunch of losers. Howard, Eastern Washington, Mississippi Valley State is the worst team in the country. Pacific, Arkansas Pine Bluff is another one of the worst teams in the country. Lindenwood is another one of the worst teams in the country. Quit being such a fucking coward. 358th strength of schedule in the country. They play Kansas every year. Congrats. You played Kansas. Last year, you played Kansas, and you lost to them by 9. You lost by 24 to Illinois. It's every year they play a shitbag schedule, and it's so annoying.
They almost blew that game today. They were up 24. And Kansas got within 2. So
I mean, Missouri fans wonder why. Oh my God, here we go. We started 7-2 last year. They went 8-24 last year and won 1 game. Last season, Kansas. Hold please. Last season, Missouri won 0 games in the calendar year 2024 for that season. They beat Central Arkansas on December 30th, and from January 6th to March 13th, they lost every single game. And they wonder why they get off to such good starts and then they just suck. I know a couple years ago it was different, but they still weren't that good then. But it's going to be the same way this year. They have a stretch of Illinois, then a shit non-conference team because God forbid, Auburn, LSU, Vanderbilt, Florida, Arkansas, Texas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Tennessee, Texas A&M. That Florida on January 14th to Tennessee or to Texas A&M on February 8th, those are going to be a 2-6, 1-7 stretch or whatever. So I don't think this team is that good. Illinois is going to beat them. I'm not afraid to say it.
By a billion.
And congrats to those Missouri fans who come into the comments once a year if they beat Illinois and take a victory lap like your school is going anywhere. The fact that Missouri was ranked ahead of Illinois in the final college football playoff rankings is absolute bullshit. Missouri's a phony football team. They stink. I mean, just an absolute nothing team. They have a top 3 wide receiver in the country, and they do nothing with them because their coach is a fucking dweeb loser. Their program's full of a bunch of fucking losers. Fuck Missouri. And also fuck Lindenwood because they suck too. I bet on them earlier in the year and they lost. Fuck Lindenwood. It's in the state of Missouri. Winning games on the road in the Big Ten is going to be quite difficult this season. Purdue getting smoked at Penn State. I was a little confused why the line was whatever it was.
1.5, I think.
Favorite. But they took it to them. This is a physical Penn State team. Penn State's another team where when they're at home, they're going to let you be pretty physical early in the game. And they let them do it again. It's like these shitty little, little bitch schools that are never going to actually win anything, like Northwestern and Penn State, are allowed to, be as physical as they want when they're at home because their coaches are probably saying to the refs, hey, we're gonna attack these guys. Congrats, Mike Rose and Chris Collins. You guys coach unimaginative shitbag basketball. You're not gonna win a fucking thing. Fuck you, Penn State. And then Michigan scoring a big road win. I'm going through my section here. I wrote.
It's like we hit the 1 hour mark and you just you become off the.
Nobody's watching anymore, so it doesn't matter. And then we talked about earlier, Michigan beating Wisconsin in Madison. So,
Purdue had a tough game against Maryland today. Maryland had a chance to win that.
Congrats to Wisconsin and Greg Gard for once again not being able to defend your home court against a good opponent. I feel like that happens a lot. So congrats. Greg Gard sucks.
Good job, Greg Gard.
So Big Ten coaches right now, we'll go through every single school. Big Ten coaches suck or don't suck. Tom Izzo.
Sucks.
I'm neutral on Izzo. There's a neutral.
Whoa.
Sucks, neutral, doesn't suck.
Neutral. Tom Izzo. Tom Izzo 10 years ago doesn't suck.
Michigan
is a basketball team.
Dusty May, neutral.
Doesn't suck.
Dana Altman doesn't suck.
Has a girl's name, sucks.
Mick Cronin doesn't suck. Good ball coach.
Sucks.
Got a good defense this year. Okay, you're an idiot. Mike Rhodes,
5 foot baby.
Mike Rhodes, Penn State sucks.
Neutral.
I think he sucks.
Okay.
Because I'm pissed at him. Matt Painter doesn't suck.
Doesn't suck.
Kevin Willard, I used to like him. What an absolute shitbag that guy is. He sucks.
Sucks.
Ohio State, who's their coach? Doesn't even matter. Iowa, Fran, I mean, whatever. Sucks. Chris Collins, Northwestern sucks.
Sucks.
Musselman, they suck this year, but he doesn't suck.
Doesn't suck, yep.
Mike Woodson obviously sucks.
Sucks.
Brad Underwood sucks. Greg Gard sucks. Fred Hoiberg doesn't suck. Fred's a good ball coach. They're not very good this year.
We love Fred.
Steve Peichel, same thing, doesn't suck. Ben Johnson, neutral, because that's a program that's never going to be good, so what does it matter?
David says you can bet on a team called Lindenwood. Feels like a Springfield high school team.
Newly D1. Illinois played him 2 years ago. Sky Clark had like 30 points. Pay attention, David. Jesus Christ. Danny Sprinkle doesn't suck. I'm a fan of Sprinkle, but there you go. It was a good little exercise there.
Yeah.
And the final thing we'll do here is, can you name the 5 Big Ten Conference allkinpom.com team right now? Because this team is ridiculous looking.
Like ridiculous, like it's bad, or ridiculous, like really good players?
It's not good or bad. It's just like, wow, I can't believe some of these guys are on this list.
Yeah, so I'll never get it. We'll go with Braden Smith.
He's 4th, yes.
John Tonje.
He's 3rd, yes.
Kasparis Yakichonis.
Nope, which is total bullshit, by the way.
Golden, not Golden. Who's the other guy?
Nope, neither of them. Nobody from Michigan.
Nobody from Michigan. Is there anybody from Illinois?
Nope.
Ben Humrickhouse.
Nope.
Okay.
The remaining players are
PKR.
Yep, he's 1st. Maryland and Rutgers are the remaining spots.
Oh, Dairy Queen.
Yep, he's second.
And who? Rutgers,
Rutgers,
Dylan
yeah.
Harper.
Yep. What a weird list. TKR, Derek Queen, Tanjay, Braden Smith, and Harper. Weird, because the 4 best teams in the conference aren't even represented. Illinois, Oregon, Michigan State, I guess. God, I hate Michigan State. Still don't think they're good. That's another thing I want to address real quick.
Okay.
Greg Waddell from Sleepers, right? I like him. Fine. Seems like a nice guy. He's a part of the thing in media, and I saw somebody comment on one of his things. I think I replied to it, where they said that every analyst in college basketball feels the need to make some sort of declaration after every game. Mm-hmm. And God, if I have been banging that door for years, like, it's so true. I'm so annoyed by that. Like, all of a sudden, Michigan State is the greatest team in the country because they beat a shit Nebraska team by 40. Like, do we really need to make a declaration? This is the same Michigan State team that has been doing the same shit for like the last 4 years. It's a bunch of the same guys. Cohen Carr's year 2. Akins is still there. Fears is healthy. Basically year 1 for him. Holloman's still there. They got Frankie Fiddler in the portal. Wow, congrats. Let's give Tom Izzo. Let's give him a round of applause for going into the portal and getting somebody great. And then it's a bunch of the other same guys. Like, I'm still not sold on this team at all. So I don't need to make a declaration just because they're 2-0 in the Big Ten with one of the easiest Big Ten schedules to start the year with Minnesota and Nebraska. So this declaration of independence that these analysts have to make after every single game is so fucking annoying, and it's such a problem with the way that sports are covered now, is that we have to make this some declaration. Like his last, whenever I flipped out on that dumbass in the comments who shouldn't be named about him declaring that Illinois is a second-round team. Like, how the fuck did that turn out? Like, we don't have to make a declaration about every team. The only declarations we should make is, okay, clearly this team sucks, which I did with USC and Washington, because that is an entire season of results. They've shown nothing to anybody. So those teams, safely we can say, suck. The teams that look really good. Oregon looks really good. They've won some good games. Illinois, who knows? I think they're a good basketball team, but we don't need to do it after every single game because, this game, Kentucky lost to Clemson. Kentucky's not good. What did Kentucky do in the next game? They beat Gonzaga. Like, this team's Final Four good. All of a sudden they lose 2 games in a row. They're Sweet 16 good. And, they won 2 more. Back to Final Four good. Like, it's Field of 68 is the fucking problem. I don't hate those guys, but Jesus, it's kind of their fault.
Yeah, I mean, that's media today, right?
And most of those guys on the Field of 68 know more about basketball than we do. However, I don't understand why there has to be a declaration made about every single team after every single game. And I think several of those guys fall into that trap. It's like Tyler Hansbrough. I don't know if he's on there anymore. That guy, not a good analyst. The thoughts didn't come across clearly. I'm not denying what he knows about basketball, because obviously he knows a lot. But we can't just pretend like just because you're a former player, you're such a great analyst. Like, look at Jason Witten. If you look at a football example, good tight end, one of the worst announcers in the history of sports. The guy sucked, but what can you do? Nothing we could do. Just want to get that out there. I'm sure a lot of people probably
like the rant, though. By the way, Arkansas State is up 13 on Memphis at halftime.
Well, good thing my parlay of the day in college basketball started with Kansas -6.5, or else I would have been looking good because I had an alternate spread of Arkansas State +16.5. So that would have hit easily, I guess. Arkansas State's good. I think I picked them to win the Sun Belt. I think they're the favorite in the Sun Belt to start the year. Brian Hodgson, the head coach there, former Nate Oates guy, did a good job last season. They're really trending in the right direction going into this season, so I'm not surprised by this. However, Penny Hardaway, what are we doing here? You got a good team. Don't fuck it up. All
right.
Yeah.
Woo! I feel like
Arkansas State had 2 pretty bad losses too, Rice and Hofstra, but they'll be fine. Yeah. They're good. They're a good ball club. They win today. They get going. The Sun Belt's not. You're only threatening the Sun Belt is UAB. Are they in the Sun Belt now? No, they're not. Why did I say that? Texas State and Troy are your big threats. Maybe James Madison, of course. Was James Madison the 5th president? A very short guy, by the way, 5'4", I believe James Madison was. Anyway, I'm a Mick Cronin guy, so I'm not going to say anything. I think he's a good ball coach. Look at what happened to Cincinnati when he left. Went to shit, and now everybody thinks they're back. They suck. Trust me. All right.
All right.
Might see you Tuesday night, might not. We'll figure it out. Follow us on Twitter at Podcast Line. We should be back for the Tennessee game, hopefully next Saturday for a watch party. We'll do an episode in between these two games, and then obviously flip it around to Missouri game on that Sunday. We'll be doing one as well. So, yeah, whatever that's supposed to mean. All right, we'll see everybody next.